Hello, Med, Komal, Roye, everybody, all three of you. Welcome to this very spontaneous stream, and I'm gonna have some coffee like I always do, and let's paint something. I don't know what, but I have decided that I'm going to use bear brush, and I have this like lump of lines that like vaguely resembles a bear. Like, this is my level of skill with bears. I think I'm gonna maybe start sketching shapes with these palettes. Hello Esme and baby Milo. Let me know how the sound is. I tried to get the volume of the microphone up a little bit before the stream with sound tests, but honestly it's quite low despite my efforts. But especially when I'm facing the screen on the table and I'm talking to the microphone indirectly, that lowers the sound quite a bit, and I'm sorry for that, but I'm gonna keep exploring different options of how I could maybe improve the sound quality. The microphones that are better than this one, they are like quite expensive, so I don't know just what kind of solution should I go for. That to me is still kind of a mystery at this point. If you have any suggestions, I think the biggest issue I have with these live streams is that I can't hold my head still the entire time when I'm painting. I think that's what most gamers do on Twitch on live streams, that they can just hold perfectly still and position the microphone so that it is not blocking the camera and yet is pointed towards their mouth all the time. I don't have that option, and still, well, it just seems like sometimes I'm more successful with the audio settings than some other times, so there seems to be like a luck involved. And I think if there is luck involved in anything, like whatever technical creative thing that you're doing, if you feel like you're getting lucky sometimes, that just means that I don't have the skills yet for that stuff. But considering the audio quality when I started this channel, I think it's better. At least there's some progress. YouTube is already pestering me with this like pop-up icon on streaming UI that now would be the good time to insert ads. Like, I literally just started. Like, we're not gonna add ads at this point. Come on, have some decency. Also, hello Mr. VTX, Samar, Lin Sara illustration. I don't know if I spaced that name correctly. Janina Mead, Abilio Costa. Abilio is saying, I record audio for music vocals, and just using audio interface allows you to live feed your audio to your headphones without any issue. But I can't listen to myself talk while I am talking, because it would be almost impossible to form sentences. It's so distracting. But that wasn't probably what you were suggesting. So right now I am using Bear Brush from my Brushes for Painters set. The brush that you use for painting really isn't that important, as long as it's fun and flexible and you don't need to keep going to the brush menu all the time, especially for digital painting like this. You really want to just focus on solving your visual problems first, and the brush really doesn't have anything to do with that. It's not going to figure out any kind of visual problems for you. So having a brush that can be flexible and you can paint every part of the painting with the same painting, I think it's always a great place to start, especially when you start learning art. I think it's very common for beginners to get lost in different process. So I've had a really busy week so far because I started teaching concept art again in school, and the students are fourth year students, so it's really fun to go through all the assignments and the whole concept art class with them, because they are clearly already very determined. I don't have to motivate them. They do the homework and they don't complain about how much we are painting all the time in classes, because I spend the entire day with them. I go there in the morning and they spend the entire day with me learning art, and they are painting almost the entire time during that day. And not just one painting, we do several paintings in each session, and they don't complain. I love that about them. Usually art students are really a fun group, but this one seems like especially motivated for some reason, and it's nice to be physically in the same class again with the students, because it's so much easier to give feedback when you can kind of clearly communicate good intent with the feedback, so that nobody feels like they're being pestered or bullied. Because through webcams it can be sometimes tricky to see that how the feedback is received. Is it too harsh? And so on. I think that's all really important, because the point of feedback is not to break anyone or hurt their feelings. So for me, it's really important to be able to read them in that situation. So how are you guys doing? Is anybody painting at this moment? It's fall here in Finland, and I just feel always really inspired by this small moment in time when the fall colors come, and especially the transition that lasts only a little while, when you can see the green of the leaves still while they are turning yellow and red and brown. I think that part is really nice. Also, I have this weird thing that I just love weather that is super foggy and gloomy and bleak and misty, and that happens in the beginning of the fall here, where even if it's light rain, it's not that cold that you can still be outside. And I think those are the best moments that I can go outdoors and have a walk with Vivi and just enjoy that weather. Because of you, I started learning coloring on Procreate. I watch your videos, but I get confused how you mix colors. You start adding random colors. Yes, I do. I like making a mess. Well, for random colors, I'm just reading Anurag Kumar's questions here. I think the colors that I add, they're often they might seem really random, but they're not random. I think that's why I like using palettes, and I share a lot of my own palettes on this channel and on different platforms, because they're really good at speeding up this blocking in phase for me. With the palettes, I usually go for analogous colors, and those are much easier and safer to start with when I start blocking in different colors, because then I can quickly have color harmony, even if the colors are a complete mess, because what I'm looking for is the mood. And if the painting doesn't have a mood, then I need to keep searching. If the mood is not there while I have been painting the same painting for a while, then that just means that the painting isn't finished. I've been having also the same discussion with a few of my students that paintings, especially digital paintings, they don't fail. Like, you really cannot fail at doing a digital painting. It's more about identifying the things that are not working yet, and then having the patience to fix those issues. And when those students start at my classes, they sometimes, but they don't often know how to verbalize or identify the composition elements that are not working. So most of that class is us just like giving feedback and analyzing the pictures that we have made. That's why also the volume of pictures that everybody is making during the class is so huge. Everybody is painting a lot more than they expected to paint during those classes, and I think that's always super fun. But that gives us a huge amount of volume of things to look at and to use as a basis for improvement. Also, one of the rules that I use for the beginning colors that I have when I'm just messing around with different ideas is using editing room for all of the colors. I think that's super important. So I don't go here or here or here in the palette. I stay in this middle area because that gives me the most flexibility to move to different areas of this palette. And that way I can maintain editing room up until the very last moments of the painting. The problem for some people might be that in that process the painting kind of looks muted or dull, but the job of the painting is not to motivate you or to inspire you to finish it. That's your job. But the job of the painting is to give you enough clues on what elements can you improve to make it look better. That's really all it is. And in the beginning, it probably won't say anything. It can be, that's why blank canvas can be so intimidating, because blank canvas doesn't give you any clues on what to do with it or where to take it in your next paint strokes. It's just completely silent. But a canvas that has a lot of mistakes or marks or different splotches of color, it has a lot more to say, and it can say that this area doesn't fit with the rest of the areas. We need more contrast or attention or bigger brushstrokes here, or some detail to hold up this empty space, or we need here empty space to let the image breathe and to guide the attention of the viewer to our focal point. Those are the things that a painting does say when it's looking messy and it has a lot of things going on there. But in the beginning, it will just be silent and it will give you no guidance at all. And I think that's the scary part, where people get stuck and they don't know what to do, because like it's hard to improve basically nothingness. Hello, Arne. I think I'm gonna just say Arne now, because I noticed that it's RL. But I'm so used to saying Arneri, which definitely isn't Arne's name. And Joanna, also from Angry Mob. One of the exciting things that happened also this week is that in the YouTube membership that I have for this channel, I started this Discord channel, and I want to be like, I'm cautiously optimistic on how it's going so far, but always with these new things that I am kind of adding to my normal work task lists. I just love messing like with these colors when they are blending with this bear brush. I just never get tired of it. This is like the best brush for messing around. I'm completely losing track of what I was about to say. Yes, so we started this Discord channel, but I'm not like 100% going to promise everybody that I'm forever going to keep it, because like I can't foresee the kind of problems that might come up with it, or how much work it is, because it is kind of very addictive at this point for me to use. It's so nice to see all the members talking there, and especially seeing their work. And I just thought that since in my membership I have all of these art tutorials and art assignments, like just, was it yesterday when we did this gold live lesson where we continued the material painting exercises, that it's nice to be able to see the assignments that the members do. I just think it kind of like puts the focus more from myself to the community itself, which I think is a great thing. And from that gold material session, I have to say that Esme's gold material exercise was just like super amazing. And it was really nice to be able to see that in the chat. But Discord is so hard to use, honestly. Discord is so hard. I don't know who designed that UI, but it's a mess. It's a real mess. And every chat has their own settings as well. I just do not get it. But hopefully over time I will learn to use it more. If anybody knows like any good Discord tutorials on like how to learn to use it, please let me know, because I'm sure that I would benefit from that. I just don't know how much time I have in my current schedule to like even spend time learning new things like right now, but maybe later I will have time. Right now with the school and the video production and another project that I'm doing at the same time, like that's basically all of my free time. And then I'm trying to spend more time with Vivi, because this is really the first time in her life that I'm not here entertaining her and serving all her royal needs. Because corgis require like a whole lot of attention basically all the time. And when those needs are not met, they are not happy, and it's not a good situation. So when I come home from work, I try to spend a little bit more time wrestling with her and playing with toys and going out on long walks. I've tried to get her to get used to being alone with these shorter absences, like for example when I go and get lunch, I have sometimes gone to the library and eaten there, so that she gets used to being alone. But I think still it's kind of a shock for her when I am leaving. I think that's the big thing, that she doesn't understand that why I would leave in the morning and leave her all alone when there's so much attention that she needs. It's still unclear if it's me who needs her more during the day, or if she's missing me. I'm watching her on the dog cam all day to make sure that she calms down after a while. DNU is asking any tips for working in layers. Also, sorry that I'm not like following the chat all the time. When I'm painting, I need to get something done quite quickly in this session. Working in layers, I recommend trying to get comfortable with using less layers if you're going for like this specific more painterly style, and especially if you're using brushes such as this bear brush. I want to show that in action here. So all of these brush strokes here are on the same layer, and now that I am tilting the stylus sideways, can you see how it's like mixing those colors right here together? That's only possible with colors that are on the same layer. So there are some like effects and things that you can only do when you're working on the same layer. But overall, if you think about the scene in your painting, I recommend placing all of those elements in the scene. So whatever is like furthest back is on the lowest part of that stack, and the elements that are in front of that furthest distance, like they gradually come upwards in the layer stack. So that way you can kind of easily find the object, because you can just visually identify, is this in front or behind this other object, and then have that sort of like a consistent rule for them. And I recommend merging down all the layers as soon as you can, because that will make you make bigger decisions earlier on, and that will make your paintings better. It might be tempting to kind of like keep all of your options open all the time, but then you don't have to make the decisions about mood and color and color blocking and so on. I think those are really important parts of making an illustration, and the decisions can be scary, but you don't have to get them right on the first try. Like, just make decisions, and like I said about the painting kind of giving you more information later on, if you just use brushes that have, for example, as you can see, I'm using 100% opacity all the time, that is just because like that gives me the ability to see my own mistakes like better. You really become quite blind to your own mistakes as you're painting, because you're staring the thing that you're doing too closely and too consistently all the time. But at least giving yourself the option of like making the mistakes be as pronounced as possible makes it much easier to see them, for you to see them specifically, because then you have the ability to fix them. Arne is testifying that Esme's cold study was amazing. Janina is asking, which canvas size do you use the most? The answer is no. No such thing. Absolutely no. I can increase this canvas size right now because it's clear that I am not going to need many layers for this thing. So I'm going to go here and make this be 300. Resample the canvas. Let's put something bigger here. How much was that? 48 layers, I think. Let's go 6,000. That's good. It's still so early that I know that I will paint over all of the possible artifacts here, or most of them anyway, since that it matters. So the resolution should always be what is good for your painting and for what purpose you are making it. If for print resolution, I recommend always starting from at least 300 dpi. And for print, I mean for web, sometimes 75 is enough. Like for example, if you're doing social media graphics, then I usually just have 75. Technically, you have more on, for example, current iPhone screens, but it's really not visible to a naked eye. Honestly, it doesn't matter. But with the layer numbers, that's really the thing that you want to be paying attention to the most when you're deciding what is the size of your canvas, because you don't want to make so huge canvas sizes, and this depends on what version of iPad you are using, how many layers you can have. You really don't want to be battling with the amount of layers if your main goal at this moment is learning to paint. So give yourself enough layers. Like that is way more important than having a huge resolution in your painting. Especially when you're practicing art, I don't know if you're in the practicing phase, like I'm just assuming here. So my apologies if I'm assuming wrong, but for anybody like who's listening to this, like when you're practicing art, it's not beneficial to assume that every painting that you're making is for print products. So making it possible for you to make as many paintings as possible, as fast as possible, that are all finished and published, it's way more important than making them all in 10,000 times 20,000 pixels resolution. Battling with layers is a lot of work. That is time that is being taken away from solving those visual problems and making your paintings better, and solving all of those like difficult situations. So if I just repeated like all the canvas sizes that I sometimes use, like in this case, let's say, what is this canvas size? 7,000 times 6,000. So if everybody just like took this as advice and used this resolution for their canvas size, and if for example their iPad is not able to run this amount of layers, or even worse, that they need in their painting process more layers than I do, then I'm not really doing any favors or helping anybody. So that's why I don't really like overemphasizing the resolutions that I use. because the kind of like the feel for how many layers you need, that comes over time, and then you can over time get closer and closer to the technical limit of your hardware. But hitting that with every painting, it's just going to like slow down like the entire process of learning, and it's really frustrating to battle with the number of layers and make those decisions of like, what do I need to cut here to be able to continue with this same style. That's really not an important part of the painting process, and if you can avoid having that sort of stress in the process, I do think it's better. There's nothing special to be gained by just using like whatever canvas I might be using for this, because the canvas resolution for this painting is what I just said it is, because I feel like in my process I can get away with the color edits with that number of layers later on. That's all. But that is for this painting and for this idea. For the next painting, that number is not going to matter at all, because I'm going to make the same decision based on the second painting. I know that this is like a long and annoying answer, because you probably wanted something like easier, but that I wanted to like explain the whole thing, that I'm kind of avoiding those situations, because not because I'm being mean or withholding some sort of like vital information, but because I don't want you to get frustrated with the wrong things in painting, because there are so many things that you can get frustrated about. This shouldn't be one more of them. Sorry. I really want those ears to be like super chunky and big. For some reason, I really want to have like some sort of like light pink or purple accents here. I don't know how they would like fit in with what I have in this piece so far, but I'm gonna try with lighten layer and maybe like do some of like this. This is definitely in the realm of random colors, as somebody was saying, like these are random colors, but I just feel like the painting needs them. So I'm just gonna slap them here and figure out how to implement them later, because somehow this feels right now. I'm supposed to be in the running club at 4, so I have my work cut out for me to make this into an idea. I'm not committed to finishing it, but I will have something before I need to run to the running class. Hello, Melissa. When you block colors, do you have an image in your mind, or do you always go with the flow? Half and half, depends on what I feel like. If I honestly don't have any ideas on what to paint, then I can just start painting. As you probably already noticed in this session, I just love making a mess with colors. I'm just playing with the colors and blending them on the canvas. I think that's always super fun for me. I don't think I will ever get tired of that. Like this stuff and making these marks. I know that what you see in front of you right now, when I zoom in this much, it just looks completely abstract, but it's so satisfying to do. Right now, I'm just like playing with the brush pressure and direction to get these sort of, I don't know, reminds me of moss somehow. Maybe that could be a pattern that I go with. It's very active, so this is drawing a lot of attention to this foreground. So I don't know if it's a smart idea, but it's the foreground, so maybe it is. Also, I don't get attached to any individual part of a painting that easily. If it's better for the whole painting to just erase it later, then I have no problems with just resetting what I'm doing and going with what seems like is more sensible. Oh, I'm painting on the wrong layers like all the time. Maybe I should lock this thing so that I don't accidentally paint on that layer, and maybe get rid of this. This is my first sketch layer, so it looked like this in the beginning. So my bear is these circles for mid, shoulders, butt and head, and then I just drew legs for those 3 circles. That's my sketching process. Honestly, the most of the sketching process is happening in the color blocking. I think the color and hue and value of the color, they form the shape in a painting like this much better for me personally than just lines. If you like doing lines for your entire painting, I think that's fine, and I'm kind of jealous that your brain works that way, because it's certainly more well documented on the internet, but I just see volumes through paint so much better, and honestly I just enjoy this way of working more. So that's what I'm doing. Are some of your live streams available as long videos? I really like watching your live videos because it helps to understand the process of your doing. For a lot of my paintings, I do these full process videos where the whole process is in one long video on the membership area. But obviously, when some of those videos are like 3 or 4 hours long, I don't narrate the whole thing. There are some exceptions where I have these like full breakdown videos where I also explain the process of what is happening on screen. But a very small portion of people who watch my videos want to see the unedited version of the process, so for that purpose I upload them to the membership. I don't expect that everybody is like in the membership watching all of those, but for some people, like, those are what they like to watch. And honestly, they have music in them, so I'm in that group as well. Often when I'm working by myself here, I watch those full process videos myself, especially the ones where I like the playlist. So it feels like I'm working with myself in this sort of like weird study group. And I don't know, it's just, there's something cozy about it. I know it sounds so weird when I say it out loud. Especially lately, I've been watching this Ghost Island video a lot, because in that playlist I kind of let myself go like fully crazy with the weird stuff that I like, and there's a lot of bossa nova tracks because I think it fits the tropical mood of that piece, and it's just a really enjoyable playlist for me to listen to while I'm painting. Yeah. Now that I say it out loud, it sounds like weird behavior that I watch myself paint while I'm painting myself. But I can see that like I have already done some paintings, and I can do this painting as well. Because you forget when you post your piece and then you watch it later. Often you feel like, who made this? I wish that I could paint like that guy who posted this image. I don't know if there are any other art tubers who do that. I honestly just don't know anybody who I have seen in real life who does art videos for YouTube. It would be nice to know more people who do the same thing and just like talk shop on. There are so many like unique creative challenges that come with running a YouTube channel that I wish that those were things that I could discuss with somebody who is going through the same things in their work. Because it's kind of different to have like a hobby thing. I'm sure like they come with like very similar things, but like when it's your work, then all the problems kind of like get heightened. They're really important for your survival on how you buy all the equipment and all of these lights and so on. Like those are really important and expensive decisions, and maybe even like having somebody to talk to about those, I think would be nice. Baby Milo is saying the same thing that probably comes up in every live stream. I have this problem where I have an idea what I want to paint, but when I get started, it becomes really hard for me to put my idea into the canvas. How do you think I could solve this problem? With lots of time and practice and patience and forgiveness for yourself for having to go through the process for such a long time. And it's difficult and takes time for everybody. You're in no way alone in this. I think I'm gonna do a selection by painting the bear really quickly. Sorry, I just need to do it. Let's do a conservative selection. But you're in no way alone. I hope that somebody in the chat can confirm that they have this same problem, because everybody has that same problem sometimes. And it takes time. And also, the ideas are not real in your head. And that goes for everybody. Like, no matter how long you have been painting, the ideas that you have in your head, they're not on the canvas. They are not actual real colors that are interacting with each other, and they are not interacting with the boundaries of the canvas. They are not confined to the rules of a physical painting the same way that real paintings that you do on your canvas are. And when you have something so abstract, no matter how clear it might seem, and you compress it into this limited amount of space with all the rules of illustration and composition that you need to abide by, then those rules might seem constricting and something that don't fit with your idea. but you as an artist need to make this conversion. So that's the only way that we can see what is there in this like realm of creativity, where you are pulling this idea into the real world where the rest of us can see it. That's the only way that your idea has value also to the rest of us, because everybody has great ideas, but most people get discouraged by how difficult that process is to show that idea, or they feel that they are not presenting their idea well enough or in a way that makes them feel kind of like awkward, or that they feel embarrassed about the end result. But we don't get to see those ideas at all, and I think that's a shame. So that's also why I recommend that you always publish everything that you make, so that you don't accidentally hide your artwork from the world because of those like dumb reasons, like feeling like you're not ready enough yet. That will come. I accidentally cut the bear. Let's put the bear piece back into the painting, and maybe I could use that as a selection later. So I'm gonna keep it. And now I have a solid bear. That's something. I see a lot of artists who start painting and then they look at some of, like, for example, their artistic heroes, and when they start painting, the very first thing that they want to paint is something like a video game character that they like from that same concept artist. They want to have like that same style in their art, in their first paintings. And to me, this seems like, of course, you're gonna get hurt, and I can't stop you from getting hurt, but like I can explain what is happening here. It's like you bought yourself a snowboard and then you immediately go and try out your new snowboard in the same slopes that they do, for example, these Olympic snowboarding competitions. The bones are gonna get broken. So maybe starting from like easier slopes in the beginning can get you those skills in a more pleasant way that is more fun. It will require patience, but in the end you will get there on those same scary looking mountains that feel exciting to you. But don't think that this time spent in preparing for those difficult paintings is in any way lost, because like you still get to do all those ideas, and the ideas have value even if the skills are in constant state of improvement for you, like they are for everybody. I think for these live streams, just like having less layers, it just makes it so much easier for me to paint, because while I'm talking, it's so easy to accidentally paint on the wrong layer. Maybe I can look at the composition and figure out what color to use in the next section, but when it comes to layers, I think that's when like my brain capacity just can't process all of the information, and it's just paint somewhere, it's fine. Voice comes and takes over. I've done a few of those graphic illustration live streams, and I think in those my brain is just like overworking the entire time, because there are so many technical things to keep in mind all the time. What brush are you using from your set? I am using Bear Brush from Brushes for Painters. Just seemed convenient for this. Not just because of the name, but I also want to use this brush because it blends colors and allows me to like be messy. I think all brushes allow me to be messy, but this somehow like shows the history of the messiness, if that makes sense. You can look at a painting and see the way that it was painted. I think there's something about that whole thing that I like. I know for some people they like to blend everything super smoothly, and that's fine as well. It's just, it's not me today. And when I have prints like this, like in large scale, these are the things that I like looking at when I have. It might seem like that's a really small print, but this is a ball that is far away. So that is quite a large print. So the main thing about that B print is the brush strokes. And that's the stuff that I enjoy looking at when I look at paintings like these. Trying to have a bit more saturated foggy colors here, so I'm gonna do desaturated cool overlay glaze over everything. Just to give this a little bit more separation and to pull out those like more saturated tones. Now that I have established some of the main blocks in the piece. And maybe also some warmer hues for the bottom half. I'm just playing with different ideas to see if the mood is slowly emerging through these choices. And in the sky I want to have another overlay layer that is kind of shining down on everything to pull these two things together. And also for that I want to be very careful with my saturation, because with overlay you always end up bumping up the saturation, so there needs to be room for it. And that's the editing room that we are using. I really don't want it to like look like a gradient at this stage, so that's why I made it so big. And because I want to apply it to both layers, I'm merging it with the layer below first, and so that I don't double apply it to the background, I'm setting it as a clipping mask to this bear silhouette first, and then just merging those two. Now that I have the same thing applied to both layers equally. I'm gonna try and find some maybe purple or yellow hues. Maybe something blue. I wish I knew what this plant called Canerva is in English, because that's what I'm trying to do here. Doing this sort of like big brush strokes can seem kind of really scary in the beginning, but whatever like sloppy brush strokes you end up making, you can fix them later. So I think this is one of the best things about digital painting, that it's not as high stress as a traditional media. Because with a traditional painting, you can really mess it up. It can fail. And you need to start over because you can't layer colors endlessly like you can in digital medium. But with this, what I enjoy is being able to just like try as many different options as I can, and then like that usually allows me to find things that I can get excited about. And there's also something about this process of like finding elements that I like through just like this exploration that I know that this sounds like I'm advertising myself, but like I think it shows like in the end that I was excited about my painting. Because like when somebody's just trying to make a painting that is very based on details and is trying hard to impress, you can kind of see that in the final end result, and it feels a bit suffocating. Like for example, when all the areas are super polished and it just seems like a painting is like mostly trying to impress. I used to paint that way, that's why I can say these horrible things. Then I think the end result can be a bit off-putting for people, because it's not really trying to connect on an emotional level the same way. But if you allow yourself to have fun with the painting, I think that shows in the final end result, and people can like get into that mode and feel what you felt when you painted it. I think that's fun. I think I still have about an hour to paint, so I'm pretty happy with the progress so far, but let's try to define this a little bit further. Oh, sorry, I'm bumping the microphone. I'm going to try and find different cool hues to have a bit separation in these the direction of the light. for me, just having any line art, that can sometimes be a hindrance, not just something that helps me, because when I'm painting and I have that line art in front of me, it can kind of make the painting seem like it's more finished than it actually is. And when I take away, for example, my sketch layer, I can see that like what areas I really need to keep working on. Eritsuko is asking, am I using reference right now? I've done similar bears from reference many times. I think I have like walking bears also in my gallery quite a lot, and a lot of those are done from reference. But with these like 3 round, the method that I showed in the beginning, how I sketched, I already deleted the sketch layer. But that is something that I learned from drawing from reference. I need to keep watching there's a timer here, and I need to make sure that I don't miss the running class. Sorry. Running really keeps my brain sane, honestly, especially during this month when I have so many things going on. Where is my sketch? For this part, I really do need my sketch because I don't see what I'm doing. But definitely, I highly recommend always having a reference. It's always better, especially when you feel like you need one. There's like absolutely nothing wrong with having one. I've always had a reference when I've done bears, even close to this style. But when I'm doing like more cartoony bears, like I think this nose is a bit more, and the whole head, and the simplification of limbs, it's kind of on that illustration side of things. So that style for me is kind of easier because I've done it so many times. But if it was an animal that I haven't done before, then I would definitely do my research on different references and so on. Or if it's in illustration style, sometimes I tell myself that I'm gonna look at the reference to figure out the anatomy later. And then when I'm far enough in the sketch and it looks nothing like what I intended, but more like a child's version of that, I quite often feel like it's more fun to have this like my version of what is supposed to be a pig or whatever. It just looks like something like a child drew from their head. And when it's supposed to be funny, and it is, then I don't see much point in fixing that. There's almost any like exotic fish creature that I have drawn in live streams before here, I always have tons of reference pictures, and I might like do some sketching beforehand, or just have like a ton of different pictures. Because especially with fish, I need kind of like more reference pictures than with other animals, because underwater usually the pictures are taken with the light coming directly from the direction of the camera when it's some diver who has taken those photographs. And from photos like that, they are really bad to use as a reference because they don't give me enough information of understanding what the three-dimensional shape of that creature is. But for something like deer or bears, you can usually tell from just few photographs much easier what the three-dimensional shape of something that you don't understand is, because the light direction is much more like easy to see and there's more contrast. But especially with the main body of like fish creatures, that's usually the part that I struggle with the most, is just trying to get that main body lit in the same way that I want my painting to be lit, because I don't want all of my pictures to look like some underwater photographer has taken them. Usually when a collection of brushstrokes isn't working, it ends up helping quite often that you just paint over everything with much bigger brushstrokes than you ever thought you would need. It can also like clarify the shape quite a lot in those cases. Yep. I'm just gonna flip this horizontally. Another day, another bear. True, Sveda. Yes, not good anatomy or like ergonomy for artists usually, at least for me. What I miss from the time when I wasn't making a YouTube video is just curling up into a ball with my iPad on the couch and painting the whole thing there. But it's not possible when I'm doing a video and shooting, because like I'm recording this stuff now as well. I don't know if this is going to be in a video, but I don't know, maybe. With the school, it's really difficult to have time to edit normal YouTube videos. I have one illustration that is just taking forever, and I'm also still need to edit the whole video for it as well, so I don't know, it's tricky. I think for me it's kind of hard to admit that I cannot do everything at once, even if I would like to think that, but I just have limits to in how many places I can be at once. So that's why, like, for example, like this Discord channel, I tried to like start it with as much caution as possible and to kind of like monitor my own well-being. And if the Discord channel like becomes too much for me to handle, like if it causes like a lot of extra emotional stress, then for that reason, even if it would be a very difficult decision right now, as I kind of love it, then I would have to kind of shut it down. Because for me, the priority is always that the YouTube channel must survive, and then the membership content must survive. And by survive, I mean that I am still in a condition where I am actively making new videos and new membership tutorials. Those to me are priorities. and to keep myself in working conditions to make those happen. And everything else, like even this school that I'm now doing, like if the school was too much for me, then I would just not agree to doing any more art teaching in the future to be able to keep the channel and the membership. They are kind of my must-haves. They are the most important thing for me. I have this screen, the iPad screen, projected on my other monitor that is on that direction, and it's weirdly kind of like lets me see the piece a bit further away. Somehow it's kind of like easy to see what I need to work on when I get there. I should put the camera there so it doesn't look so distracting. Let's see what my coffee situation is. Hello to India, Devil Line Gamer. Hello, Aman. Birthday Num is saying, hi Mikko, I love your art and your videos. Hope you are taking care and staying warm as the cold weather sets in. Well, right now I'm wearing running shorts underneath this desk because I'm gonna go out running in shorts. It seems weird when I leave the house, but the running classes are so intense that usually the weather doesn't get cold enough for any one of us in the class to feel cold. That would just mean that we are not running fast enough. What's the time again? 30-ish minutes. Oof. I have so much to do. I think this like butt hair needs to be a bit more fluffy, and I immediately regret saying that sentence. Sorry, I keep hitting the microphone with my head. That is just because I was attempting to have the microphone as close to my face as humanly possible, but apparently there's a downside to that, which is me bumping into it. I think that's better. One thing that I could try is maybe if I could just paint together these two areas a little bit. Because the head of a bear, it's not really its own separate thing, it's kind of very connected to the neck, so there's only like a slight bump there. I feel like it's communicating the direction of the light a little bit better now. This is definitely not the style that anybody should ever use in a live stream. but I love how my creativity is always like not the least bit concerned about how I might appear in a live stream when these ideas come to me. It's just like, we are doing this today, and whatever objections I might have, I never win those arguments. It's just like my creativity can have whatever it wants, whenever it wants. I'm complete servant for its whims, and it knows it. And I kind of enjoy the crazy scenarios. I think in my last bee live stream, there was a similar situation where I was so sure that I was going to do some sort of an underwater illustration, and then at the last second my creativity was just like, bees. Now bees are the thing that we are completely focused on, and whatever plans you had before this live stream started, they are all in the trash can right now completely. And at that second when I hit the go live button on YouTube, I was just like, okay, the plans are trashed, let's go with bees then. If my creativity wants bees, it's gonna get bees. I kind of like how the different layers of paint are visible here in this section. Yes, I think that's an improvement. Now, as a clipping mask, I am going to fade with green this other leg. And it's gonna look like I'm doing a full opacity thing, but I'm going to adjust the layer opacity itself later. All of this transparency is coming from me just like tilting the stylus sideways and pressing very lightly. You can put Procreate onto a monitor. Yes, I am in a Zoom call with myself, and I am sharing the screen from my iPad in the Zoom meeting. And that's the window that you are all looking at on this there. That is that screen. Anne is asking, hello, I recently came across your videos on YouTube. Tell me, how long have you been drawing? Well, I draw quite rarely. I like drawing in specific situations, but mostly I paint. And I've been painting professionally. I've been painting about 15, 17 years now as my main job. Are these on a separate layer? Yes, thank God. Now I'm getting into like the seriously speedy painting mode. Just maybe not smart to try something so crazy at this phase in the live stream, but hey, caution is not the name of this live stream. I think we have established that by now. Vivi is sleeping quietly. In her banana. I think she has now adopted the banana into this sort of like more morning sleeping mode. In the middle of the night, she likes to go into her own room and use that bed in there. And in the morning, when she's waiting for me to wake up or watching me have breakfast or play Switch games, she's usually watching me from the banana, where she's also taking really long naps in the morning hours. It's really hard for me to talk while I'm doing this because it's so easy to get into this flow mode when I'm just like focusing on the composition and the placement of every single leaf, and it's just surprisingly relaxing, even though there's always like a bit of like scariness in live streams. I think maybe it's just overall, with my life being so busy in the last couple of days, it's harder to get into that relaxing mode during live streams. But somehow painting these trees, and maybe the mood is starting to be there that I like, it's easy for me to slip from this room into the painting itself and just be in that space with the bear. And I think maybe like this is the reason why this idea came to me, the painting style and the colors, that it would allow me to do and play with the colors like this, because usually that's the reason why it's important to listen to your creativity, because no matter how crazy it might seem, I've learned that like if I just do what my creativity tells me to do, it's usually something that I need. It knows what I need. It knows that this will make me happy. And kind of remind me that like why I'm doing this whole art thing to begin with. That it's fun and it's gives me purpose. All those things. Selection invalid is saying, my ears perked up, my brain immediately went, but here. I think that is saying something more about you than it is saying about me. I love that. I think that's really cool. This change in saturation. I'm gonna mask it with black and add it to only a part of the leaves to control the saturation a little bit. I'm gonna find a different hue to go with this. Maybe the reddish tones could bring a little bit of variety to it. So I'm gonna mask in a few of those areas as well. But this time I'm gonna be more consistent with the light direction and use more reddish tones for that. It's going to make the sky look more green as well if I place them near the sky. Because when you place complementary colors next to each other, they kind of push each other more. That's why I only need like a tiny little bit of saturation in that red, because the complementary color of the green sky is already going to push it in a very contrasty way to the other direction. in between I need like a little bit more clarity. So I'm gonna add bigger brush strokes and just carve out the silhouette a little bit like this. I just realized that I could use a more yellow tone for that perspective in the leg, because the light is bouncing in the lower half of the painting anyway. I think that's fine. And now I'm gonna adjust all the colors with an overlay blend mode. Punch up all the colors a bit to their right directions. I still have a few minutes, so I need to really hustle. Welcome Carly Jones to the Angry Mob. I almost didn't notice that happening. I should have like some sort of like sound notifications for that. That would be cool. So Carly, now that you are an Angry Mod member, please join our Discord channel. If you go into the community posts, you can see the invite link there. And let me know if you have any trouble. I don't know if I can help with the technical issues, but I might be able to like do a second invite link if the current one is not working. There was a week limit for the invite, so after a week I think I need to make another invite link for the members to Discord. I don't know why it's limited, or if I can extend it indefinitely, or if I just need to keep inviting new members to Discord. I don't know. You can also link your Discord channel, Discord application to YouTube, and I think there might be some system where it's checking if you have a membership, that it might make it available that way. I'm not 100% sure on how that works, but Discord allows me to kind of check who are the members, and it's supposed to do this automatically. That's the only reason why I kind of agreed to starting the Discord experiment in the first place. Because I thought that like if I have to go through some sort of like a list manually every month to check the member status, that's never gonna happen. I'm never gonna have time for that. And also, Carly, you can join our next material painting session that is gonna happen soon-ish, and that is going to be for this round, the last one of the material exercises before we move into the next set, which is the colors. And I'm like super excited on starting this new live lesson series that is, I don't know how long it is gonna go on for, but I want to do those exercises myself, so I'm kind of looking forward to it. I think it's gonna be really fun. And I think it's one of those, like, for example, the material painting live lessons, you don't need to do like every one of them. You can just do the ones that you feel are more beneficial to you. And I think the color series is going to be the same way, that it's good to pick those exercises that you feel like would be most beneficial to you and do those assignments. I know in the color exercises there's going to be a few colors that are going to be extra tricky for me, like yellow. But I'm kind of looking forward to those the most. It's fun to have challenges that kind of push me when the challenges are interesting and when I feel like they are worth my time. But challenge just for the sake of challenge, that's not really something that I recommend in art studies, because it's so easy to go out of your comfort zone. Like, the area of skills that you can learn in art is literally endless. It's to every single direction there is challenge, but you cannot that's not guiding the challenge yet. So you have to kind of pick that, like, this is the direction that I'm going. These are the skills that are going to be important and relevant to me specifically. So that's where I'm going to put my focus and most of my effort into. There are going to be areas of art that I won't learn as quickly because they are not a priority. So even if they are outside of my comfort zone, they are not in the direction where I'm going. So I'm going to focus on the skills that I need to say the messages that I want to say. Because you're never gonna run out of skills to learn in art. That forest is endless. I'm basically like have memorized the script of my next YouTube video that I'm painting for. Like, that's the topic. Endless forest. But I'm so excited about it that I actually made an illustration, or I am making an illustration literally based on the script of the video. So I can't wait for that to be finished. But with the school and all the work, I don't know when exactly that is gonna be. Hello, Amy. I don't know if I should say good morning. It's 4 here. I'm trying to keep the bear kind of like slightly distant. I don't know why. Like, we are not the bear, we're looking at the bear, and we just, like, can't quite see how the bear is feeling right now. It's like something about this painting that it says to me that like there's some kind of like melancholic mood in it, and I need, as an artist, I need to protect that somehow with the color choices that I make and what I choose to show in the illustration and what I conceal. I'm done with my coffee. In 45 minutes I will be running in the track, so I've never done a live stream like this where like when it's over I need to go to the track immediately to run. So hopefully I won't do any like technical horrifying mistakes as I end the stream. Wouldn't be the first time. Hope. Carolina is saying you should be able to create a link for indefinite time. You only need to change the expiry date to never. Thank you, Carolina. Carolina has been really helpful with the Discord stuff. I really appreciate that because I'm kind of new to it. I have done, I've used Discord in some of my concept art classes because the schools wanted me to communicate through that. But I've never done anything like this extensive. And it's not like it was that much easier before either. I think it has always been challenging for me. I should have set a timer for myself because like I know that I can easily go, especially in this stage where I am kind of like reaching for the mood of the piece already, and the painting is becoming more and more enjoyable because I know where the painting is going, and that makes it easier for me to find my own mistakes and fix them to say the message of the piece in as clear way as I possibly can. And that, all in all, results in this flow state where you kind of slip out of a time. There's been actual research on this, that the part of your brain that measures the passage of time kind of switches off when you go into flow state. It doesn't mean that the painting becomes like easier. Your brain actually is processing at its maximum capacity at that moment, so all the other functions or existing get disabled. That is flow state. It's not your brain going into autopilot. It's you working at your kind of maximum efficiency. Everything else goes into power saving mode. This is a no driving type of a live stream, as they always are. I really want to avoid using too tiny brush strokes, because they always kind of look, I don't know, painful in these sort of paintings. I might want to have like a few bigger ferns and then explain what those colors are in the background through that. I want to be careful with the saturation of these. It's like the tiniest changes that make a huge difference in these. And in these sort of situations, it might seem like comforting to go to the tiniest process, but I feel like that would be the wrong decision to make at this point. One way to keep the eye moving in the image and to make it a kind of interesting area for the eye to explore is to think about the size of your brushstrokes and how they vary throughout the painting. That can be also a very powerful composition trick. But especially in paintings where you have these sort of like very visible kind of aggressive brushstrokes, the size of the brushstrokes matters. So having those very large brushstrokes that bring more contrast, and that is really important for the composition to be able to breathe, because every visible brushstroke is gathering attention to itself. And when you do a very large brushstroke, that can be kind of a generous gift to give to your viewer to make the areas that aren't as important kind of easier to watch. You want your viewer to think that I'm good at looking pictures. Like, this is the first thing that you kind of like want to put in their mind. That you haven't given them a task that is like very difficult to parse out, what is even in there. And then when they get there, then they can start spending time with your message. You want them to be interacting with the message of your piece as quickly as possible, because that's what they are going to remember. If they remember your painting at all in the following day. You don't want them to remember how many details you had or even how realistic all the materials were, but how it made them feel. Because those are the things that people will hold on to if those are important thoughts for them. And to get to that message, of course, you kind of have to explore yourself, like what you are feeling. What is this painting about? Is it about a bear? Or is it about my work-life balance? Those might be uncomfortable questions to ask yourself while you're still working on the piece, but answering those questions can help you make the visual decisions that make the message read better. And you don't have to always explain what the message is, but as long as you know it yourself, it's easier to make that mood stronger and to communicate it better, because viewers will see their own life in your piece, not your own life, but their own life. But if the painting has been made with honesty, then it's much easier to put yourself into that situation that is in the piece, and that can help them process their own emotions better. With the foliage, I am repeating a composition mistake here in the corner that I have told to my students dozens of times this week. So sure as hell, I can't afford to do that composition mistake myself. Every time when you're teaching art, you will also learn. I think learning anything, teaching is also like part of that process. Like when you absorb information and when you pass it onward to, like, for example, art students, that is still you learning the same things. So knowing, for example, composition rules and being able to talk about them, that's not yet being able to kind of like always implement that information into your art. So every time I teach art, I always have these situations when I'm painting that I remember the talk that I gave earlier in school, and then I noticed that, like, oh damn, I have the same composition mistake here in my own damn painting, and I always feel like I need to fix this. So, because my students are definitely going to notice this, because we just talked about this. Of course, I'm allowed to make mistakes. If you're teaching something, you can make mistakes in that field. It's fine. But it's just like so concrete that, like, the checklist is there because you cannot consciously think about the entire composition rule set with every single painting. That's why it's a checklist. That's why you have to go through it with your brain, not with your painting mind, not with intuition. The composition rules are painfully logical. In worst situations, they can make painting seem like very mathematical and not as magical. Because applying that kind of logic to creativity can seem a bit wrong. But the purpose is always to be kind to your audience, the people who are seeing your paintings. To communicate in your paintings in a way that they can be included in that conversation. Hey, Verdayas, art plus magic. My name is spelled with Mikko. Okay, that's sounds exotic. Roya is asking, I hope this video will be continued in the membership. I will consider it. I'm trying to avoid making like any promises. I'm so overburdened with promises already. But yes, if it's possible, I will continue this painting in the membership videos. Maybe doing like a color editing tutorial could be like, this could be like one of those things, because I have used so much self-restraint with the saturation that I think this piece will be a really good or fun thing to do color editing for. I don't think like most people who follow me on this channel would be that interested in like the technical details of like how the color editing stuff goes, so that might be a good idea for content on the membership. Okay, I have 30 minutes to be on the running track, so okay, Mikko, think. Too many of these things are on separate layers, so I'm just gonna flatten down everything there, and then I'm gonna do overlay. Lift to the colors. Usually after these live streams, I feel like completely dehydrated and kind of dead because I've been sitting still for so long. But now I have put myself into a situation where I need to be running as fast as I can when I'm doing Cooper test interval training. So that's going to be interesting. I love the running classes because it's one of those classes at the gym where like it seems like always the same people are there, and it's just fun. I love running, but I don't think I would be doing like that hard speed workouts on my own. So having the other people there, it's like definitely pushes me. And I kind of hate this about myself, but like when we are doing those last run practices where we are running as fast as we can for 2 minutes or 4 minutes. I really hate this about myself, and it's like embarrassing to even admit this, but like when I'm running, there's this like competitive side of me that kicks in that just like makes me push harder than I would on my own, which is not great. And of course, like I'm not fast in any way. I'm never gonna win any running competition. It's just that in these practice workouts, it's just fun to kind of see, especially when somebody comes there who is like clearly, for example, like faster than me or more fit in every way, that like maybe I can just like keep up with them for like one sprint. I don't know why. Whoop. I think for this, I really need to find the right hues to kind of communicate the angle here. Hey, Arne. I watched a bear live stream where they were catching salmon and some of them would fall down the waterfall. A+ experience. Yeah, I think I've seen that as well. I don't know if it's the same live stream, but I remember that it was a Canadian, some sort of a forest park where they had set up this bear live stream camera. And there were like tons of bears, and the stream looked quite aggressive. So I don't think any human would walk into that stream. I kind of like these bright brownish yellowish tones showing through these like layers of paint, so I don't want to completely cover them, because this sort of like history of the painting, that's the kind of detail that I really like. I know that for some people these might seem like just mistakes, but this to me, since you are here and you already know what this painting is about, like this painting to me is a painting about painting. For me, like that's one of the reasons why I am pushing this tone and this style in this piece, because it's something that I need to think about, and I need to remind myself that it's a thing that I enjoy. And there's like something like, I'm trying not to use the like a very woo-woo word to describe it, but it's something that is more important than me. Then I think that's what I'm trying to remind myself, that this thing that I have committed my life to, that it's more important than me, and therefore it's worth the effort that I put into it. I'm gonna need to start leaving soon, but I was thinking that since there are these sort of like yellowish birch like trees in the background, that maybe I could use as this sort of like method of sneaky visual appeal, to have some of those like dots of color here on the ground as well. Obviously I can't have the same color everywhere, but that's easily fixed because I'm using a separate layer that I can alpha lock. What each of those brushstrokes like actually is, I don't think that's as important as the impression of the mood that a person might get when they see this. When you're not kind of like over explaining every detail, you sometimes just give the viewer more, because that gives them the opportunity to finish the details and the painting in their own brain. And everybody's gonna do that their own way. Because as I said before, when they see the painting, it's not about me, it's about them and their life. So the way that they finish the painting tells more about who they are and what they are going through. But by leaving those like certain details just as clues for them to work on and finish as they are watching the painting, you give them the opportunity to make that experience personal for them and about them. If I kind of like over-explained every single detail and finished every aspect with like the intent of just showing my painting skills, then I think it would be kind of selfish in this sort of a painting that I'm doing right here. And I'm only talking about my own stuff here, so don't feel offended if you like doing super detailed paintings. But I think it would be kind of like taking away the attention from the viewer and then just making it about myself, which in this case I think it would be a bit selfish. This entire time YouTube has been telling me the entire time that like press this button so that everybody gets to see ads. Like haven't pressed it once. Just can't. I wish that stuff was automated. I would be completely fine if YouTube like automatically inserted ads, but like don't expect me to like do it when I'm painting. No. I guess the downside is that like these live streams don't bring me any money, but it's just like fun to hang out with you guys. That's all. I really like those colors up there. now I have like 2 minutes, so I need to start ending the live stream. But I think we got to the mood. It's there. And I think now the painting has the details that I need to finish it. Like this area here in the neck, like it's too dark. I'm just gonna fix it really quickly. Little lighten layer. I'm gonna color pick these and just, yeah, I just couldn't leave that part in there. Come on. Yes. I always do this when I end the live stream. That's why I should have started quitting way sooner. I don't want to miss the run. Anyway, it's too green. It's too green. Damn it. Why did I have to start getting fancy with the hue? Just let it be. No, no. Yes. No, leave it there. I'm the worst. Thank you everybody for joining this live stream, and I will be continuing this painting. Who knows when? I don't know, but hopefully at some point in the membership I will do a color editing tutorial. I don't know if it's about this painting or something else, but at some point I promise that I will get to it. Thank you everybody for joining this live stream. And thanks for coming on such short notice. I just recently noticed that I have time to do a live stream. I really need to start going. Okay, and I'm gonna check if there are any questions that I missed really quickly. I need to see a bear fall down a waterfall. Yes, I recommend watching that bear live stream. That's the thing that you should see next, not my videos. Okay. Thanks for joining, Dakota, Teddy, Verdaya, and Carolina, of course. Thanks for the stream. Can't wait to see the result. And the GPU shortage says, thank you so much, Mikko, for this. That's a very topical channel name. Okay, I see you guys in the next video, and bye.